Welcome back to part 2 of Dr. Aphra. Now, you guys said you enjoyed the first part, and I think that she's one of the best parts of the Star Wars comic books. She's like third for me. She comes after Darth Vader. Darth Maul was pretty cool, but pretty much Darth Vader #1 and like all the Darth Vader spin-offs, but she's like 3 or 4, somewhere in there. Anyway, today we're going to be continuing the storyline of Dr. Aphra in her search for the Ordu Aspectu, that random weird Jedi Order. I hope you guys enjoy. When we last left off, Dr. Aphra had been tricked by her father into helping him look for Jedi relics. They went to a planet that the Imperials had currently controlled, and while they finally found what they were looking for, the Imperials were approaching. As everyone heads outside of the temple, Aphra's father begins tracking the readings from the light. Once he's done, they all start to go back inside, and Aphra's father asks how much time do they have. She tells him it depends on how competent the officers are. With some, they should only have a minute before they notice a giant glowing thing and they run into. But before she can even finish, she turns the corner, bumping into an Imperial officer, and then kicks him down the steps, shouting, "We have to go the other way!" As everyone turns, Aphra tells BT to go ahead and slow them down, and he beeps excitedly. The stormtroopers soon begin to close in, and BT releases 3 grenades and rolls back as the explosions go off, beeping, all happily. 000 tells him, yes, I would agree. Being dead should slow them down. Aphra looks ahead and sees a hole to the outside and tells everyone to run while she provides cover fire. Just as they all get outside, they stop, and while they look at a giant AT-AT walker, Aphra tells her father that if he ever wondered what her job was actually like, well, now he knows. Tolvin pushes her way through the front of the troopers, telling them to lower their weapons. This area is under strict Imperial control. What are they doing here? Aphra drops her blaster, whispering, "Don't worry, I've got this." She then thinks for a second and says, we got lost. Tolvin screams to open fire, but before the gunfire can even go off, something flies down, firing at the stormtroopers. The Archangel gets close to the ledge, and everyone hurries aboard while the AT-AT begins to shoot at it. As Aphra tries to pull herself back up, she says that this is something she really hates about her job. And just then, her father reaches down to help her up. Kuristan shouts, and Aphra tells him, yeah, just add it to the tab. Let's get out of here. Once out in space, Aphra's father hands over the data from the readings at the temple for their next location. And as they drop out of hyperspace, no one says a word. Aphra asks, was it everything that he was hoping for? And Aphra's father says that he doesn't really know. It's only now that he realizes what he really wanted. Just one thing, and that is for it to be real. Before the Archangel is Rur's Citadel. However, it's mostly destroyed and lifeless. Once the ship docks, everyone walks out, and as Aphra looks at the dead Jedi, she says, well, this is as real as it's gonna get. Aphra's father looks around, and Aphra asks, is this a good feeling or a bad feeling? And her father tells her that Jedi are typically cremated. These ones died in pain. That is, unless the Ordu Aspectu had a different tradition. What a horrible death for those who only lived in peace. As Aphra's father looks back, he asks, what do you think you're doing? She picks up another lightsaber, stating that collectors are always looking for secondhand lightsabers. Archaeology is grave robbing with some fancy paperwork. There's debts that need to be paid. The group then begins to head deeper in when they find the generator for the Citadel. As Aphra's father begins to put some of the crystals into the console, Aphra tells 000 and BT to go ahead and grab the crystal modulator from the ship. With the power starting to be restored, Aphra gets to work on the console when suddenly the inner doors begin to swing open. Back with 000 and BT, they notice someone coming down the halls, and they quickly duck out of view as Tolvin and her troopers pass by. 000 says that they should probably warn Aphra, but he's pretty sure that they'll be fine. Over at the Citadel core, Aphra and the others start walking towards the core, and she mentions that this really can't be safe. The opening below leads directly into space. Aphra's father says that that's because the Ordu tried to make their followers understand their smallness compared to the majesty of space. As Aphra and her father go through the vent systems, Kuristan hears something and quickly shoves the two of them out of the way of gunfire. She shouts, asking, when did they get here? 000 radios in that some Imperials are heading your way. There were some on the ship, but they are gone now. Should we assist or stay? Aphra tells him thanks for the warning, but just stay back and prep the ship. Kuristan will slow the troops down while they clear out a safe place to be picked up. While Kuristan jumps out, Aphra and her father retreat back, and Aphra pushes on the control panel to open up the Citadel's core. The two run inside over the force field flooring when more gunfire begins to hit inside. 000 then radios that Kuristan has returned to the ship and wanted to pass along a message. He's leaving them, and if they live through all of this, she still owes him. Aphra shouts into the receiver that they can pass along a message. If he was dating a bantha, she'd still be the looker. Aphra's father then asks what are they going to do now, and Aphra aims her blaster, stating get ready to run. She fires, hitting the controls unit of the force field flooring, and it begins to deactivate. The troops on their way towards them then all face the space below. The two then head into the core, take the elevator up to find the master control. Aphra's father looks around, stating that the body, it's the Immortal Rur. As Aphra looks at him, she says she's got to admit it. She's seen more immortal than this. Aphra's father starts checking the console and finds the computer is missing a power core, and without it, they can't access the Citadel's files. He sighs, stating that all he wanted to do was bring some light to the galaxy, bring back the Ordu, so that the galaxy would be a safe place for his daughter to grow up in. He then asks, "Did your mother hate me for chasing this?" And Aphra sits down telling him no. She just thought you were wrong for doing it. After a few moments pass, Aphra's father says that if she gets out of this, it's easy to get her doctorate back. All she has to do is... But before he can finish, Aphra tells him no, don't tell her. If he removes the gun from her head, she may be tempted to stab him. She begins digging in her coat and pulls out one last crystal, telling him, how about we turn this thing on and find out what the Ordu was really up to. She tosses it in, stating that Rur, the not-so-immortal, had one. She may have palmed it when she searched him. Once the computer reboots, they all see the records, and she says that she's pretty sure that Rur died turning off the system. Are you really sure you want to know what he knew? Aphra's father looks at the crystal, then places it into the console. The green light shines and an image appears asking, when is this? Aphra's father asks who is he, and the image says that he is Rur. When is this? Aphra's father says he's sorry, but Rur is dead. The image then says that the shell is the false Rur. A machine lights up and it says, I am Rur, the eternal Rur. As Aphra says, you know, I got a feeling I told you so is going to be an awful lot less satisfying than I thought it would be. All of the machines begin to light up asking when is it, and Aphra tells him, how about we make a deal? We'll tell you when it is if you tell us what happened. Rur says that he can torture and tear the answer out of them. And Aphra says, yeah, but torture is slow. Just tell us the basics and we'll tell you the time. Rur thinks about it and says, okay, that is logical. After the conflict between the Ordu and the Orthodox Jedi, the peace treaty allowed the Jedi to inspect the Ordu's work for signs of dangerous heresy. My present research was to create a copy of my intellect, preserving my knowledge for all time. But at the time, I had no idea what I was doing. I wasn't making a copy, I was moving my sentience, and in doing so, leaving a ghost inside of my old fleshy body. In this new state, I was one with the machines, but the Jedi wanted a closer look into my research, so I had to slay them. Even though the false Rur couldn't fully remove the crystal containing me, he dislodged it and all the consciousness was lost. In the end, the robots carried out the orders to kill the Jedi, waiting until their batteries failed. So, when is it? Aphra asks what calendar is he familiar with, and he says the Dominican Accord. Aphra then says that the Accord was ancient history long before the Republic was even founded. That was 1,000 years ago. He begins shouting, no, 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 everyone is dead. Everyone is lost. I had so many plans, such great designs, such weapons all stolen. If I can't punish the dead, I shall punish the living. One of the robots reaches up, burning Aphra's father's leg, and Aphra takes out her blaster, shooting the robot in the head. The elevator begins to descend, and Aphra says that the Imperials have a ship. We just need to make it to the bridge. If we make it there, we'll need a crystal, and we have no more. Aphra's father says that they could destroy the console and take the crystals from it, but if they do that, it would likely lead to the destruction of the Citadel. And that will be the last that anyone knows of the Ordu Aspectu. Aphra stands back up, telling him, yeah, as if you've ever been right about anything, and the elevator begins to go back up. Aphra takes off her cap as Rur shouts, asking, you return to bask in my presence, mortal. And Aphra tells him, well, not really. I'm an archaeologist, and I'm all about the careful extraction of ancient artifacts. Soon the lightsaber that she has lights up, and she finishes by stating, well, mostly. She begins cutting into the main console, and Rur shouts that she will destroy the Citadel. She will doom them all! And in one last swing, she tells him, I'm pretty sure I'll be fine. She takes a closer look and sees the main power crystal that Rur is working from, and she takes it along with one of the lesser crystals to escape. Once the elevator pulls up, she sees the Imperial troopers trying to hold back his machines, and she shouts to them to come over here! Trust me! The force field flooring generates, and soon everyone crosses, and she pulls the crystal back out, trapping the robots on the other side. Tolvan asks, what did you do? And Aphra tells her, nothing. You might want to signal your ship now, though. She shouts, I already have! What happened to yours? And she says, it is busy. Maybe lost it? Whatever, it's complicated. As the ship pulls around, Aphra, her father, and Tolvan all begin to run up to the ship as Tolvan calls to the pilot to take off. As the starship doesn't move, Aphra looks at the cockpit. She says, oh, they're dead. That would explain things. She hops into the pilot's seat, and just before she can take off, one of the robots appears, knocking Tolvan to the ground. Aphra flips the switch, gives the ship gas, and it rockets away from the Citadel just as it explodes. Once they get far enough, Tolvan begins to get back up, and she pulls out her blaster, asking just who the hell are you? Aphra puts her hands up, stating, well, I am... But just then, Aphra's father takes out one of the lightsabers, stabbing it into Tolvan's shoulder, telling her, that's my daughter. Later, a long way away, Tolvan's ship touches down, and Aphra pushes her off, telling her that it would be smart to just kill you, but you're cute. As the ship starts to lift off, Aphra's father says, you have a very bad taste in women. And Aphra laughs, telling him, it must run in the family. As Rur's consciousness is sealed up in the power crystal, Aphra and her father have now brought it to the Quarantine World 3 to make sure that Rur never has a chance to carry out his destructive nature. Later, back at the Archaeological Association, Aphra turns in the lightsabers and says, hand over her credits. And Aphra sighs, stating that highest isn't what it used to be. Afterwards, Aphra heads to the bar to pay Sutoth's, what she can only figure is his brother, what she owed for her loan, which put her back to having no loans. And as the loan shark leaves, Kirstan walks up, and Aphra says that she was wondering when he would show up, but hey, no hard feelings. She understands that he's just looking out for his own adorably furry skin. But there's a rumor that a bad lady did something terrible. Like instead of giving the Dangers or Do a Spec 2 crystal to quarantine, she may have given them a fake. She takes out the real or Do a Spec 2 crystal and smiles, telling him, "How about we get rich?" And there you have it. Now, if you want more Dr. Aphra, I do need to know in the comments down below because now we're at a stopping point. But trust me, that Immortal guy, he comes back, and he comes back with a vengeance. But if you want to know that storyline, I need to know your opinions down below. Do you like Dr. Aphra? Do you hate Dr. Aphra? What is your stance on Dr. Aphra as a new Star Wars character? Don't forget, more Star Wars is right over here. There's something else recommended by YouTube over here. And if I mixed up where my hands go, then sorry. Hope you subscribe. See you next time. I'm over on Twitter. We can chat about things at Comicstorian. Normally, I just kind of tweet about my day. You know, having breakfast, maybe a little lunch, some dinner, talk about comic books, sometimes a video game. You want to hang out? Go hang out on Twitter. Or you can go to our Discord. I'm over there a lot too. That link's down below as well. All right. See you next time.